Hey, what is good guys, Chris here, welcome back to the channel, and today we're talking about a camera that is actually the predecessor of the well-known X70 that everyone loves and cherish that much, that now they're selling used for $450 to $500. Well, I wanted to buy that one, but this comes with the same price, and this is the Fujifilm XF10. Like I said, it's the next generation of a point-and-shoot camera that you can use for your travel or street photography. Everything and anything you need in this camera is small and portable, compact. You can carry it with you in your pocket or in your bag, in your purse, whatever you're using. This is the camera that should transform your photography, your travel and street photography in better ways, but unfortunately it does have some quirks that I want to talk about today. Nonetheless, we're gonna have my opinion and my impressions about this camera for using it for a week or so. So it's not a full review, but I do love the fact that I bought this camera. There was so much of a debate over the internet. Everybody was comparing this camera with the GR3 and the Panasonic LX100, Leica Deluxe, and so on and so forth. Well, this is a great camera. Mine is special, and it's because I bought it on eBay and I had no idea that they're gonna send me a camera that doesn't have any tags on the back for the buttons right here up top. I'm not sure, and I was kind of torn. I was pretty sure that this one was a mock-up or a copy of the Fuji XF10, but apparently it's not. It's the original SF10. I think it was made for other markets than the US market, for probably Asia or maybe Europe. I'm not sure exactly, I couldn't find much about it, but nonetheless mine is special. So let's talk about the design. The camera is built very well. It feels like it's metal or a very durable plastic. I'm not sure, but it feels like aluminum, at least right here on the top. It does have a very minimal amount of buttons and knobs. It actually comes with a mode dial and the shutter button right here on top. Also, the shutter button doubles as a dial, and you have another dial right here, which is an amazing thing for a camera that's small and for a point and shoot, to have a aperture control dial and a shutter speed control dial on the back. Also, you have the Q quick menu button and another button up here that I'm going to talk about very soon. I also am very pleased to find out that they put a joystick on this camera. There is no D-pad but a joystick, and also two other buttons. One is for the menu and the other one it's the display button. Pretty much everything that you will find on a camera that you need. Now this one, it's super small. It's probably the smallest form factor I've ever shoot. I do love it. Another nice thing that they added to this camera is this small grip right here that will help you grip the camera comfortably. It's not very comfortable for big hands, but nonetheless it's better than just having nothing and not being able to hold the camera. So now my index finger is resting right here on the top very comfortably. On the back you have the tripod mount and also the battery door. This is how everything is in terms of design. There is no flippy screen. This screen is a fixed one. I don't do technicalities, as you know already, so I'm gonna put them right here on the side in case you guys are wondering all the resolutions and the dots and everything on the screen and other, technical stuff. They also add a small flash right here on the top, which is a great addition for, I use it as a field flash if you need it, especially in low light. And also you have the autofocus lamp on the right side. The lens on this camera, it's an 18.5mm f2.8 lens that has a control ring on the front that you can set up with whatever you want. That is pretty much it in terms of design. I don't see anything that I should mention. It looks nice, it looks cool, especially on black. I know that there are versions on champagne or something like that, but the black one, it's super stealth. You can go on the street and just pass as a tourist, and people would just, you know, disconsider you as a photographer, but you will get the photos that you want. Now, inside of this camera, it's an aps-c sensor, a 24 megapixel aps-c sensor. It's phenomenal to cram that big of a sensor in this small form factor, and I am very, very happy that they didn't opt for a small sensor like an 1 inch or micro four thirds or something like that. Then aps-c sensor provides more light, and you will be able to shoot this camera in low light, no problem. The maximum ISO it's 12,800. You will be able to shoot 3200 and 6400 if you need to, without any problems. Also, the camera has, like I said, an 18.5 millimeter f2.8 lens that it's very, very sharp. I am super impressed of the sharpness of this lens. Also, the sensor on this camera, it's a bit controversial. I am not sure why Fuji opted for a bare sensor instead of a external sensor, because we're all used with those beautiful colors, those warm rendition that the external sensor has, also the sharpness and everything else. There are two different sensors, and if you want to dig more in that, I'm gonna put some links in the comments below for you to go ahead and check what's the difference between the external and the bare. But the sensor is not bad at all. I shoot with a few photos, and I can say definitely this can provide the quality that you guys are expecting. The colors are a little bit different, so if you are trying to use this camera as a backup for one of your Fujifilm cameras, it's gonna be a little bit cumbersome for you to match the colors to create a you know, consistent look on your photos. Now let's get to the pros and cons. For me, the joystick, it's one of the best things that has been created for a camera, and I'm happy that Fujifilm decided to put it on this small camera. It's nice to have this autofocus mobility and be able to move the autofocus points all over the screen without, you know, just focusing and recomposing and all that stuff. Another essential addition, and I think this is what makes this camera great, is the fact that you have this snapshot button, like Fujifilm call it. It sets up your lens to focus at 2 or 5 meters, which for street photography is amazing. The moment you set it up for 2 meters, you're gonna have an instant focus at 2 meters, and you can just go ahead and shoot around, or 5 meter if you want to. Also, I love the fact that they put a control ring on this small pancake lens. This ring can be set up to many things. I have mine set it up on ISO. That's pretty much it in terms of pros. I do like the fact that it's a touch screen and you have all those controls that Fujifilm has, the swipes up and down for different settings that you can you know, choose whatever you want. I have them pretty much set up the way they were, so it's pretty much default for me because I'm not using that much the touch screen. But it's good to have a touch screen. It's not amazing. It does have a little bit of a lag, and it doesn't feel natural when you're swiping, but it's great. It's great to have it. Like I said, for the money that you're paying for this camera, it does have a few features. Now for the cons, and those are a little bit cumbersome, at least for me. That's what makes me think if I'm gonna keep or send back this camera, because I bought this camera, like I said, for street photography, and it can perform well using the snapshot, but if I'm trying to use the autofocus, it's a little bit cumbersome. The autofocus hunts most of the time. It's not a reliable autofocus, especially in continuous mode. You won't be able to focus fast. It probably takes a second and a half, 2 seconds to acquire focus, and that is in very good lighting conditions. If you're going in low light, it's a totally pain. I tried to chase my daughter around when she was doing gymnastics, and it doesn't work well at all. I'm not sure if that can be improved with a firmware update, and I believe that Fujifilm can do that because they're always doing that, and I really appreciate them for that. But if that it's a problem that can be solved, I urge them to do it fast, because people are getting away from this camera because of the autofocus. This lens, it's super sharp, and if it hasn't a good autofocus, people will definitely buy it for the price that it sells, being that you're able to shoot RAW and JPEG, and also has tons of features. Even the 4K 15 frames per second can be useful for some. Also, they has 1080p 60 frames per second. So it's not a bad camera, but this problem with the autofocus keeps people away from it, and push them towards the GR3 or the Leica Deluxe or whatever, the Panasonic LX100. Those have a little bit better autofocus. I didn't test them, but from the reviews that I saw, I think people are more inclined to choose that. And also, they're gonna go ahead and buy the X70. There are a few things that I don't know about the X70, and I don't want to push you towards it, but if you are thinking about buying this one, maybe you should try the X70 as well. Also, another problem, a thing that Fujifilm is trying to improve these days, but it's still not working the way it should, it's the battery life. These batteries are very small. It's obvious for this portable camera to have a small battery, but the power that they're packing in, it's very low, and you won't be able to get more than maybe 200 shots. I only got 150 when I was shooting outside in like warm conditions, so it wasn't cold or anything else. The camera overheats a little bit, not that it gets to the point of being hard to touch, or you get a notification of overheat, but you'll feel it that it gets warmer and warmer, especially if you're shooting in conditions like we have here in California, where the temperatures are going between 90 to 105 during the summer. So that it wasn't a problem for me, but I wanted to mention it as a conclusion of these small batteries, because I was expecting, being a small battery, to not overheat that much. Now, in terms of image quality, this camera provides well, and the images are sharp. The color rendition is good. Like I said, different than the extra sensor, but not bad at all. With a little bit of a tweaking, you can achieve that look that Fujifilm is renowned for. I would say and rate this camera around probably 7.5, 8 in terms of usability. It's very portable. It's very easy to use. Now, for me, this camera, it's not the perfect contender for other point and shoots that I mentioned before, because it does have the problems that everyone will consider essential in terms of a point and shoot. It doesn't have a fast focusing system. It does have a battery that drains very fast, and you have to carry a lot of batteries with you. Another quirk with this camera that I forgot to tell you about, and I believe that it can be fixed in firmware, it's the fact that the blackout between shots is a little bit too long. It's probably a second and a half, and if you're shooting on the street and you're start clicking right and left, you might lose compositions because you won't be able to see what's going on in front of your screen. Maybe Fujifilm can come up with an update for that as well, and just make it as short as possible, maybe a half a second, maybe a quarter of a second. I know that it's impossible to have like a no blackout, but that blackout might definitely affect your photos and your composition. So that's it. That's pretty much it for today, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this small look at the Fujifilm XF10. I'm not sure, like I said, if you consider it a review or just a heads up or first impressions on this camera. I am thinking about it. I'm gonna decide if I'm gonna send it back or just keep it. But for now, I'm kind of weighing towards sending it back. Nonetheless, go ahead and subscribe to the channels for videos like this. If you enjoy it, please go ahead and give them a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Put your comments in the box down below and let me know if you're using the Fujifilm XF10. What are your impressions, your opinions about it? And I will definitely see you in a bit.